So one Shannon Sharpe is looking at a $50 million lawsuit behind what this accuser is saying was a 2 year tumultuous relationship. Okay, so one of the things that strikes sad about this whole thing is if you were raped, as this accuser is saying she was, um, why not go criminal and get the man arrested and in prison? Why are we shooting for a $50 million lawsuit? At one point in life, did we decide to prioritize going for someone's bag over putting them in prison? It just smacks of the wrong kind of vibe, to be perfectly honest with you. It really does. Nonetheless, gentlemen in particular, young men in particular, there's a lot here. There is a smorgasbord, an entree, a buffet of lessons that we can learn from this whole fiasco. Looking at what this is, right? We see what it is. For those of us who are men, right, and who are turned on by the opposite sex, we see what this whole scenario is in this picture here, um, with the accused and the accuser. And at what point is it beyond this surface level, lust driven pictures and what it makes us do and how it makes us think and feel? Shannon Sharpe is in his mid 50s. He's 56 years old. At what point do we decide that the smash and dash has been enough? I mean, is it okay to still be mid 50s, late 50s, early 60s, mid 60s, still playing smash and dash? No, I mean, well, I think he spent, what was it, 10 grand or some crazy number on a dog, right? Went to an airport, had somebody fly somewhere to get you a dog, Teddy, for X amount of racks. And then we're still playing smash and dash in the mid 50s. In a world where in this exchange, people are going for bags, right? This young girl, early 20s, you're mid 50s. And then the complaint, okay? How this whole thing started, the woman says that she met Sharp when she was 21 at a gym in Los Angeles in 2023. She claims he allegedly pursued her before they began a relationship. Now, I don't know what the details and if that's true or not, but let's say it is. Young men, men in general. Why are you, Shannon Sharp, pursuing this woman? Why are you pursuing anyone? With the amount of money you have, you got, I'm sure, more than the entire GDP of at least a handful of countries, if not more, in your bank account or that you have access to if you include credit, assets, and let's say even your net worth that you could potentially go into an investor's pool with everyone that you know. You can have a city of wholesome women lined up, ready to do whatever you tell them somewhere on the planet, and most certainly it's probably not going to be here in the U.S. of A., but it'll be somewhere. Why then are you subjecting yourself to a $50 million nut? That's essentially what this was. It was either a $50 million one nut or a series of nuts. And I highly doubt, especially at the age that he's at. And it's not like this is his first go around with fame and having hoes and doing the smash and dash, right? The dude did his NFL thing. So he's been doing the whole George and Buck thing for quite some time, right? So how long are we gonna keep doing this? Now, for those of us who are on the outside, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we live in a land where it is what it is. It's pretty much live and let live. And as long as things are consensual, people are going left and right, up and down, and all around in what's happening in behind closed doors with people these days. God only knows. And I dare not imagine or venture off into that space. So at the end of the day, you know, this is not about this one individual and how their relationship went down, whether it was consensual or not, or any of those things. But at the end of the day, we need to learn some lessons here. We really do, as a culture, as a society, as men, as young men, as black men, as athletic men. Right? At what point are we going to exercise penile discipline? Right? Because at this stage in the game, if you don't exercise your penile discipline, you will begin to face penal discipline. Right? Penile meaning what's between your legs. Penal meaning the criminal code. That's where we are with this. Now, there are a number of solutions, and we can problem solve, and we can go back and forth on how we can exercise more penile discipline. But one thing's for sure, when you're at the stage of the game where this man is, there's no way that you should be putting yourself in a situation where, not only is she going for a bag, a big bag, an unreasonably large bag, when supposedly the complaint says that when they had a consensual 2-year relationship, and you can say yes 99 times, but even if you say no once, that's considered rape. Now, what kind of jury or what situation you're looking for in order to hopefully pull this off, I really don't know, right? But to me, that if I'm on the jury, I mean, what are we going to listen to here? The details of the one time, and then like, there's going to be all kinds of questions here. Like, number one, where's the criminal complaint? Where's the criminal aspect of all this? Why is the man not arrested or imprisoned? You know what I'm saying? So, all that aside, men, we really need to start thinking here on what it is that we're doing and what we associate with good. Okay, I think fair to say we've busted enough nuts, especially by the age of 55 or 56, and the man has had a career spanning at least 3 or 4 decades of consistent fame, and we're still chasing females. Now, I understand marriage here in these United States is equally a disaster and puts men at a disadvantage, and that is troubling, right? But at the same time, we got to figure something out here. Now, I'm a proponent of marriage in the traditional sense, in the spiritual sense, in the religious sense. I'm not a proponent of marriage in the state sense. And gentlemen, you got to be careful, even if you don't have an actual contract. There are some states where you have a common law marriage, which means even if you're just living with somebody for a certain amount of time, the state views you as married. So you want to be careful with those things as well. Um, Anytime the state can come in and try to regulate your life in an intimate fashion like that, that is no good. And that is not our solution to our problem for sure. At the same time, though, this isn't it. So, young men, uh, this consuming of scrolling up and down whatever platform and looking at young ladies like this is not going to lead you to anywhere good. You should not be mid 50s and haven't been famous for at least 3 decades or more, and you're still chasing young meat in LA. At the very least, okay, you got a 2, 3, 4, 5 person lineup of something stable, something consistent, and you're able to lock in on that, and you're able to keep getting after the bag, and you're able to keep pushing your agenda forward. At some point, there's got to be a cutoff here where you're allowing randoms to just enter your circle and try to take advantage of you and your operation. Because essentially, that's what this is. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but this reeks of some historical issues that we've had in this country when it comes to rape on the big buck black guy on one side, and then the innocent prissy white girl on the other side. Now, while she may be dressed like a soft porn star and doing her OnlyFans thing, and to some extent, like now society seems to know what that whole thing is. You never know what kind of county you're in and what the circumstances are, where the penal discipline that you would face behind that accusation, even the accusation, even if the guy was to be 100% clear from this day forward, the damage that he's already taken on in all likelihood is irreparable at this point. And even if he was to try to countersue or get her for defamation or libel or something like that, she don't have no money anywhere on par with where you at. So what you gonna get from her? What you gonna get? Lost future wages in return from her? And that's another thing, right? Look how far up the totem pole is this guy is compared to her, and how even her just taking a shot at him in this situation is just so hurtful, and there's nothing that he can really do on her side. What are you gonna do? Counter sue? Like, what are you gonna do? It just goes to show how lopsided the whole thing is. But at the end of the day, it was his lack of penile discipline that got him where he is, and he's not the only one who's been subjected to it, and he's probably not the only one who will be subjected to it. I'm not exempt. You're not exempt. If you have a penis, you need to be able to exercise penile discipline. And for some of us, that is easier said than done. And we have got to get on the ball. You know what I mean? At some age and stage. And I say the older you get, the easier that should be. By 55, bruh, the discipline should be, pretty intact. If it's not, then it's almost as though you've never really tried. You've just been running loose this whole time. And that's not it. You know what I mean? It's not just because like you might live alone, nobody might know. It doesn't mean that you should be in the room with the door closed, checking out the hub and just whacking off tirelessly day and night, lusting day and night, in search of new cheeks. If nothing else, just virtual cheeks day and night, right? Like it's just a cheek fest that we're in, one big cheek buffet of all types, and many men have gone down from cheeks. I mean, the cheek death is biblical. It's literally biblical to be taken down by cheeks. So at some point, gentlemen, we've got to learn the lesson. Our father of humanity, Adam, peace be upon him. It was the food in his private parts that became exposed. So a lack of penile discipline will most certainly subject us to measures that are no good. And this is one, if we're to survive this end game that we're in, if we are to have any kind of shot going forward, we have got to get this one under control. And we have got to be honest about our state of affairs. And we have really got to reevaluate here because this is getting dangerous, right? This is getting really dangerous. And, God forbid you mess around and wind up having to, co-create with something like this, and there's child support, and there's a child. Children are supposed to be a good thing, not a demonic force to be exploited and wielded for the purpose of just extracting resources for someone. Um, even in the animal kingdom, the exchange is not always so wicked and nonsensical. There are, some animals made for life and support one another and encourage one another. This is a Black Widow story. And the Black Widow is no good. And dare I say, gentlemen, that we have a lot of Black Widows out here today, man. And you have got to be careful. Ooh, we have got to be so careful. And the sad thing is, we have more cheeks available to us nowadays from sitting in our living rooms than maybe ever. I mean, this is stuff that the king of kings of the past will only have access to this many cheeks, and in many cases, that's why those kingdoms are all gone. Because too much of that stuff is where it leads you to. It doesn't lead us to anywhere good. We got to balance it out. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna have to come from within. And we can't ask them to put more clothes on. That we could waste our time doing that, but it doesn't seem that that's going to be the case. So we are going to have to get a hold of ourselves in some way, shape, fashion, or form. We got to shoot some prayers out. We got to do some fasting. We got to do some meditating. We have got to do whatever we can to get a hold of this thing immediately. And gentlemen, for those of you who are on the younger side, take it from me and many others. You do not want to be having to pay child support for something like this. And the likelihood that you will fall into a percent of this, a minor, snapshot of this. Obviously, this whole fallout is on a level that is appropriate for him because he has a bigger bag than most of us do or ever really will. But at the same time, any bag will do, even if you're getting. For those of you, I've heard stories of guys being in jail getting 25 cents an hour, you know, $20 a month or every 2 weeks, and if you got some scallywag pregnant who has been or is currently being inseminated by others while you're locked down, she might have two, three, four, five baby dads. They might all be in jail. But if they getting $40 a month, child support is getting that too. So they're getting you at every level. And you know, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I don't know, bro. You tell me. Me personally, I mean, my thing is this. The reality is, when you're dealing with a woman, one never really knows. A person can literally just wake up and be like, I don't want to do this anymore after 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So one never really knows. That's kind of one of the unfortunate realities. But there are things that you can do to give yourself a little bit more of an upper hand. And one of those things is that if you live in the Western world and you have a bag like this, go to the developing parts of the planet and make your selections from there. That will alleviate at least a significant portion of your problem. When you go to the developing world, do not go to touristic areas where those women are all working women and who are running 100 miles or more on a regular basis by 21, 22 years old. That is not what I'm saying, right? You got to kind of break in, get affiliated with the environment, see if it's something that you can do. Uh, pull from a countryside, pull from uh, families where the woman is a wholesome woman who's interested in making sure that her grandmother has her medicine and that the goats are fed and that mom and pop are good because they work like dogs to give her the life that she has. That is one possibility. There are multiple outlets, there are multiple solutions. That's one that I found to work for me. That's one that a lot of us who are in the passport bro world have found to work for them. The passport bro world is not about going to touristic areas, paying out $20 an hour or a night, and just knocking down everything moving. When these are just, you're just getting prostitutes from all over the world, right? Supposedly making rubber free love and trying to spread kids and all of this. No, bruh. That's not it. No, no. Have some dignity, have some self respect, have some morals, have some standards. If you're going to tell me that the religious way of life is no longer appropriate for you, okay. So what is this? Is this where we're headed? Right? Because if it can happen to him, best believe it can happen to me or you. on some level or another, it will happen to me or you if it hasn't already on some level or another, unless we can get ahead of it. Everything about society is driving every single one of us to have some semblance of a problem like this. Unless you can get you can get control of the little head with the big one. And in order for you to get control of the big head, there's a lot that you got to get ahead of, especially if you're coming from disenfranchised homes, communities, peoples, broken homes. You're working on your emotional intelligence, your financial intelligence, your sexual intelligence. That's a new quotient now. It just came to me. Out of all of this, gentlemen, we need to work on our SQ. We need to work on our FQ, EQ, SQ, right? Your financial intelligence, your emotional intelligence, and your sexual intelligence. Because if we're sexually retarded, and a lot of us are sexually underdeveloped, sexually uneducated, immature, it can cost you something dearly. There's a lot of women these days that got the cheeks out, and this and that, and they're setting you up. A lot of young guys are being moved off board, being robbed, home invasions behind the cheeks. How much longer are we gonna start? Are we gonna let the cheeks dominate our society now, or are we gonna be men? The cheeks have been there. They're there now. They'll always be there. We don't have to be running around with our tongues hanging out, chasing everything moving. It's not necessary. Focus on whatever it is you're there to do. If you're in the gym, and this is a problem in the gym, apparently, according to the allegation, all of this emanated, its point of origin was a gym. Where I'm sure she wasn't in there throwing no goddamn serious weight. She was in there doing exactly what she did, which is landing somebody just like this dude. And according to the allegation, he pursued her. When we go to the gym, gentlemen, we need to close our eyes against this kind of thing. I know it's tough. I got to deal with it just like you do, and I know it's tough. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying that all women in there are evil, but at some point, we're going to have to vet these women that we encounter. They're all wearing leggings, bro. It's all hanging out. We're all seeing the same thing. She's not for you. She's not for me. She don't love you. She don't love me. She's for the streets, bro. Everything about her presentation says that. It's all hanging out to the highest bidder. And then you work like a dog your whole life. You 56 years old. You've been working 50 years to get where you at. Growing up, having to noodle to get fish and to live and all of this, bro. And then this is the climax. This is the peak that you done wasted it. You know, $50 million nut or a series of nuts. And even, okay, so what? She probably ain't gonna get the $50 million lawsuit or whatever. But look at the consequence. Look at the repercussions behind all this. How far-reaching it has gone. So, whatever to this individual and his situation. But for us who are out here watching all of this play out, and society just continuing to collapse all around us on a daily basis, we've got to have solutions to our problems. And I say, we got to vet these women. Just having your cheeks hanging out, having your breast hanging out, having your vaginal lips hanging out from your pants or shorts or whatever, that's not it, baby bro, big bro. That can't be our criteria only. And I know it's tough, believe me, for those of us who are men, and those of us who are men amongst men, I get it, right? But it's worth the effort, because what we gain, the kind of internal power, the kind of political power, the kind of ability that what we're able to wield in our lives, there's no economic value that we can place on the power that we gain through exercising true penile discipline. And regardless of what that journey looks like for each and every one of us, we have to start somewhere. Because God forbid that we wind up in a penal disciplinary situation because either we did something that we shouldn't have because we were so lust crazed and just immersed in lust, eating lust, chasing lust for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 3 or 4 snacks throughout the day is not going to lead us to anywhere good. All those thoughts are going to lead somewhere. And if you're sitting in the basement somewhere and you 40, 50, 60, 100, 180 pounds overweight, whacking off to different cheeks of various types all around the world, that ain't going to lead you nowhere good, big bro, baby bro. It's not. So invest in yourself. Be disciplined. Be strong. Take care of your heart, your health, your spirit, man. That stuff's no good. You know? Yeah, we all need a partner and this and that, but there's more to a woman than her cheeks, and there's more to a man than his bag. And this is where this demonic global order wants us to focus our attention towards one another. And if we do that, then that's on us, and we get what we deserve. And there's plenty of people out there who are thinking like you think, in the sense that that's not an outcome that we want. And you'll get with them when you can pull yourself together. So never worry about another. Never worry about the possibilities of what may happen that hasn't. You know what I'm saying? And get after it. Handle your business, whatever that looks like for you. And through that penile discipline, you're able to, shift that into other things. It doesn't just start there. It doesn't end there, right? The penile discipline, emotional discipline, um, financial discipline. Discipline is there, and it needs to be there in every area, every stage of our lives. I know we are on a constant stream of being told you can do and have whatever you want, and to some extent that's true, but that doesn't just extend to an endless possibility of debauchery and dysfunction, right? It's about the moral high ground. It's about discipline, focus, drive, commitment. These are things that separate us in the world of men. And it's our world. We don't need to let outside forces tell us what that means to be a man, tell us how we need to operate. This world needs us, okay? And to some extent, we need the world, but not in the desperation sense. It's a relationship where when we act accordingly, the world will mold to us. These women are running rampant like this because we like it. Let's just be honest. All the BS, all the nonsense, all the nasty stuff and this and that. We like it. We do. And I'm not even saying that there's anything wrong with it other than the publicity of it, the public nature of it. You know what I mean? What a man and woman do behind closed doors, in the privacy of their own home, consensuality, and a degree of respect and consideration for one another and for any life form that comes from that relationship, so be it. But where we're at right now is not going to work, and is in need of immediate reevaluation. What say you?